This is CES Tech Talk. I'm James Kotecki, exploring the trends shaping the world's most powerful tech event, CES 2026 in Las Vegas, January 6th through 9th. And folks, we have made it to a milestone episode. That's right, it's time for our annual Insider CES Sneak Peek with our favorite leadership trio from the Consumer Technology Association, the group that owns and produces CES. Since today's three guests lead the world's most powerful technology event, and since technology is the world's most powerful force, these are mathematically the world's three most powerful people. And they're all here. We've got CTA CEO and Vice Chair, Gary Shapiro. How are you, Gary?
I am fabulous, James. Looking forward to January CES in Las Vegas.
Absolutely. And I know someone else is looking forward to it. CTA President Kinsey Fabrizio. Hi, Kinsey.
Hi, James. Thanks for having us.
And also joining us, we've got CTA Vice President and CES Show Director, John T. Kelley. Welcome, John.
Hey, James. It's nice to talk to you today.
So great to talk to you all again on CES Tech Talk. I love this annual tradition that we have. Let's get into it. Gary, when you meet someone who's never heard of CES before, and I actually don't know how often that happens, so I'm curious if this is like a real life question, but when you meet someone who hasn't heard of CES before, how do you explain it?
Well, I say it's like explaining ice cream. I can tell you how great it is and how wonderful and how it tastes, but the reality is you got to experience it. It's where innovation occurs. It's where the leaders of the world in media and technology and content creation, in business and investing get together and see the future and explore because right now you need those relationships that come from CES and other major events to get going as a business, to start, to team up and create a better world.
Kinsey, I know that we've got a lot of CES veterans listening to this podcast. Get us excited for 2026. What is new for CES 2026?
Well, if you are a CES veteran, I hope that you are excited for CES 2026 because you will not feel like a veteran. You'll feel like there's so many new and exciting things. One of them that I'm really looking forward to is the CES Foundry. This is a brand new part of CES that we have created at the Fontainebleau. It is geared towards AI and quantum companies. There will be exhibitors in this space. There will be stages. There will be conference sessions taking place. It's going to be exciting. It's a place to learn. It's a place to demo AI and quantum. And it's a place to connect with new attendees and these great companies. So definitely stop by the Foundry. We
And one
have,
question about that.
yeah.
If I have a CES badge and I just go to, usual CES stuff, I'm able to get into the Fountain Blue
Yes,
for this.
you are able to get in with your CES badge.
Great.
So it is open to everyone, and we're really looking forward to it. We have an expanded new CES creator space. This is our home for creators. You can find creators in this space. Some of them will even be capturing content and producing it, but there will also be exhibitors in this area too with tools for creators. So this is a really exciting and lively part of the show. It's located in Central Hall. Definitely stop by there. We have new innovation award categories at CES 2026 in ed tech and enterprise tech and filmmaking and distribution in partnership with Cannes, and also new award categories for supply and logistics and travel and tourism. So check out the Innovation Awards Showcase. That's in the Venetian. It's always a great place to stop by. And then, like we do every year, we want to introduce new content. So we have new programming sessions for CES 2026 in manufacturing, in wearables, in women's health tech, accessibility, and for the first time ever, on the last day of the show, we will be offering in-person AI training courses. And we're really excited about this. This is an opportunity for anyone attending CES who is interested in learning about AI to sign up, register for these courses, and you can take them live in person at CES. Those are some of the highlights. I will also say that for the first time, the first show in the brand new, fully renovated Las Vegas Convention Center is CES. And so we will be the first show to get to participate in the newly renovated convention center. It's beautiful and it's going to be a gorgeous show.
Well, that is very fitting. I think CES and the LVCC are synonymous in my mind, at least. By the way, Gary, you said that CES is like ice cream, but based on Kinsey's description, there's like thousands of flavors of ice cream here to choose from and different experiences that people can have.
There's so many
Absolutely.
flavors.
Yeah. John, I want to keep going with our understanding of what's going to be happening at CES 2026, and I want to get one of your virtual audio tours. So, Kinsey alluded to a few of the exciting places at CES, but really give us the grand tour, the overview. What's the layout, and what are we going to see in each area of the show?
Well, that's a great question because there's a lot to see. And let's start at the renovated convention center that Kinsey just mentioned. So we'll start by walking into Central Hall. We will find major brands, next generation devices, the expanded creator space that Kinsey mentioned. We also have a new manufacturing showcase pavilion there on the show floor in Central Hall, showcasing domestic manufacturers that we're really excited to launch this year. Moving over to North Hall at the convention center, you'll find micro mobility companies, enterprise tech, power tech solutions, sustainability oriented solutions. It's a really exciting area of the show floor that's really grown the past couple of years. As we move over to West Hall, you'll find automotive tech, autonomous systems, mobility type companies over in West Hall. And it's not just cars, it's boats, it's electric vehicles, it's construction equipment, heavy machinery, all over found in the West Hall. Moving across the campus over to the South Hall, you'll find accessories and design and source companies. Then outside the convention center, you'll find companies like BMW and Continental and the popular CES Garden, where you can network with other CES attendees. Speaking of the garden, this year we are hosting for the first time ever a first time attendee meetup on the afternoon of Wednesday, January 7th. So first time attendees are encouraged to attend that event. So as we move over to the Venetian, home to Eureka Park, upstairs, you'll find on level 2 of the Venetian, you'll find health-related companies, smart home, wearables, and lifestyle tech. Moving down the strip to C-Space at Aria, which is home for the advertising, marketing, branding communities. And as Gary and Kinsey mentioned, CES Foundry over at Fontainebleau, where you'll find AI, quantum, 2 content stages, lots of demos, and many exciting companies over there as well. So we are a full citywide event taking over the city of Las Vegas. A lot of tech and innovation happening across the show floors.
I mean, yeah, John, you breezed through that in just a couple minutes, but I think if I were to try to just walk by everything that you mentioned, not stop, not linger, not look, just literally walk by all of the exhibits in all of that space, I'm not even sure that someone could even do that in 2, 3, 4 days at the show, right?
It's a lot of ground to cover, and you'd probably be pretty tired. But there's a lot to
Yeah.
see for everybody, and that's I think the unique thing about CES is there's something for everybody at CES.
I think John just covered 100,000 steps
Yes.
in 1 minute.
And you can check out, wearables at Venetian that can track those steps and tell you more about what to do to
Exactly.
feel more
Exactly.
rested, of course.
That's right.
Gary, I want to talk a little bit more about what's happening at the Fontainebleau this year with the CES Foundry, and that's the destination for AI and quantum. Tell me more about the decision to create that space and maybe if some more of the details from your perspective on what people can really experience, why leaders should be drawn to that space.
Well, we have a rule at CTA that every CES has to be different than the one before. And Kinsey takes it very seriously. And she had this great idea that we have a separate area, a new location focusing on cybersecurity and AI. But I think what makes that portion different is it is a really emerging area. And it's an area where Kinsey will actually be interviewing the head of the White House Office of Science and Technology Policy, who's
Mm.
really been leading the whole US effort in cybersecurity, and it is something that's pretty exciting and forward-looking, and it's a different format. It's not exhibits as you traditionally think about them, but it's actually presentations and discussions and really cool stuff. But I think the thing about this CES is also what's very different. If you think back just a year, how different the world was. And, we had a different president, we had a different atmosphere in the United States, we had different trade relations and allies and countries. And so one of the purposes that CS serves is to focus on these changing developments. And what I've always discovered is that in times of great change, trade shows like CES are so important for people to come together and talk to each other, reassure each other that the world is okay and they have relationships which are important. And also, frankly, the joy of serendipity and discovering new relationships. And if there's ever a year where that's important, this is one. I mean, the only thing I can think back is either the post-COVID was a little bit of a slower gradual ramping up. But after September 11th in 2001, that next show, it was really important for people to see each other and get together because this is such a global event with 40% of our attendees being outside the United States. And we're seeing strong registration all around that people want to get together. They want to see what's new. They want to establish those relationships. They want to cut those business deals. And they want to hear from the policymakers, which will be there talking about it. And that's why these great new things we're doing in so many different areas. There's also C Space, which has grown rapidly across town with several hotels. Every major platform will be there. There'll be great keynotes, discussions, talks, and that. You are absolutely right. You cannot physically cover the entire show as one person in the 4 days we allow, which is why there's great reporters and media and coverage and programs like this one that help expand its scope to the world.
Well, kudos to you and the team for kind of planning the unplannable. I mean, if we just think about I think from the time that you guys had this idea to create the CES Foundry to when the Foundry will actually take place, there's been all different kinds of AI strategies and macro narratives and stories and backlashes and different ideas and understandings of AI. And that's just going to keep continuing. But to have that snapshot and all the leaders in one place, I think is going to be really powerful.
Totally agree.
Obviously, we can talk about AI probably for this entire episode, but I want to know a little bit more beyond AI, or maybe just related to AI, right? Because AI is kind of in everything. But what other tech trends are you all looking at for CES 2026? Maybe start with you, John.
I mentioned the manufacturing showcase that we have on the show floor, and that's a new track for us as well at CES. So we have a half-day track focused on manufacturing. And Gary alluded to, the issues of the moment. And manufacturing is a big issue of the moment for a lot of companies. How do they reshore? How do they manufacture domestically here in the United States? So these are the conversations that are happening at CES. And we actually partnered with the Society of Manufacturing Engineers to build this new showcase on the floor to give companies an opportunity to meet with these manufacturing, facilities and service providers to reshore and bring manufacturing back to the United States. So that's an important conversation that's going to happen on the CES show floor.
And we're gonna see like mini factories or like little glimpses into inside what's in a factory on the show floor. Is that what
Yeah,
that is?
it's really focused on the advanced manufacturing, what the future manufacturing looks like, and how you can do that here in the United States, and companies that provide, whether it be facilities or services that are aimed at companies that are looking to bring that manufacturing back to the United States.
Oh, I want to add on that because there's a half day conference focused on manufacturing with a lot of incredible speakers from the head of the U.S. Rare Earth Company to the CEO of the National Association of Manufacturers speaking to so many others. And it's a real focus because this is the administration has clearly emphasized that. And there's a lot of interest by companies about how they can reshore or if they're a foreign company manufacturer in the U.S., it's our obligation to provide that type of information at CES.
That's gonna be really exciting and certainly of the moment. Kinsey, what are you looking at in this moment as far as tech trends?
Well, we're seeing a lot of robotics companies. So when you think of AI and physical AI, choose to participate in CES 2026. So everything from enterprise robotics to kitchen and food robotics to in the home and humanoids, you will see that at CES 2026. So that's certainly a fun and useful trend that we're looking forward to seeing at the show. And then, of course, I love health and wellness and digital health. You talked about it earlier, the new wearables track. We have a lot of exciting wearables companies in the digital health area, and we're really seeing a big advancement in the technology in that space. And I just love that this industry vertical has chosen CES as a home to showcase their latest innovations and solutions.
Yeah. And I think what's exciting, Kinsey mentioned robotics, and what's exciting about the robotics categories is not just in one specific area on the show floor. It'll be featured throughout the show in many of those areas that Kinsey mentioned. So you'll see it at the convention center, you'll see it over at the Venetian, you'll see those conversations happening over at Foundry as well. So it's truly show wide.
And Gary, is there another tech trend that you want to highlight?
Well, certainly, yes. It's a follow-up on what happened this year in 2025 at CES, where there's this tremendous focus that we put the spotlight on the fact that almost everything we do requires energy. And certainly artificial intelligence is using a tremendous amount of energy, and that is the bottleneck right now in terms of seeing the future the way we envision it of solving fundamental human problems. And we need that energy. We need it for quantum. We need it for electric cars. And so, of course, we need it for the cloud computing and generative AI, which uses up a lot of it. And that's one of the big policy issues, and it's one of the big technical issues. And the policy point of view, obviously, we don't want to disadvantage the future, but you don't want to hurt consumers. So that's going to be discussed and debated at CES and elsewhere for some time. But in terms of the technology solutions, that's where I think it's the bright, optimistic spot. There's a lot of things coming in terms of technology, whether it's hydrogen technology or a new focus on nuclear technology. And of course, there's more energy efficient products out there as well in terms of cutting down on energy. I just, recently read that electric bikes, for example, and scooters basically save more energy than all the solar powered uh, production that's been around the world, just that alone. So this is a numbers game, but it's important that everything contribute to those numbers.
Yeah, obviously, there's a ton on the show floor that is glowing and moving and using a lot of energy and electricity, and that's a really important factor there. So we're really going to be watching that trend with a lot of interest too. Something else we're going to be watching with a lot of interests are the fantastic leaders who are going to be keynoting at CES 2026. Kinsey, tell us about the lineup and the themes and what's going on at Sphere.
Yes. Well, every year when we talk about our keynotes, we say the keynote lineup can't get better than this. And every year we continue to top it. And I'm so excited about this keynote lineup. It's going to be full of amazing surprises, but you've got Dr. Lisa Su from AMD. You know, every time she takes the stage, it's powerful. And they are doing some really impressive things right now. You've got the CEO of Caterpillar, Joe Creed. If you had told me in 2008 when I started working at CTA that in 2026 the CEO of Caterpillar would keynote CES, I might have said, why? But now I would say, of course, because they're using technology to transform their industry. We have the CEO of Havas and chairman of Vivendi, Yannick Bollor. He's going to be the C-Space keynote, and he's going to be talking about really amazing things in the entertainment and media space. At Sphere, you mentioned the CEO of Lenovo, YY, will keynote there. It's going to be an immersive, amazing presentation. Make sure you get tickets. We have information on our website on how to do that. But if you want to attend, you will need a separate ticket. We have Roland Busch, the CEO of Siemens, who will be keynoting. And that is going to be the opening morning of CES. Looking forward to their keynote session. And then we're going to have a live recording of the All In podcast with McKinsey and General Catalyst at CES. That podcast is almost as good as this one. So
Everyone's
we're really
second favorite
it's our
podcast. Yeah.
second favorite podcast. So we're really excited to host them at CES. And it's just going to be a tremendous lineup. We still have one more we haven't announced yet, so stay tuned.
I just wanted to add that there's a tremendous amount of programming in other areas, as well as accessibility. We talked about manufacturing, but wearables. My favorite, we haven't mentioned it, is there's a real focus on women's health at CES. There's a lot of sessions on it, and it's an area where technology can make a huge difference and is making a difference. And frankly, it's been something that not a lot of people have talked about. And I don't think it's been a specific focus at CES before, but it's a real big issue right now that seems not to be getting better, and it requires a big spotlight on it.
Yeah. And that's where some of the opportunities for businesses and investors lie, right? Which is the big opportunities that maybe haven't been getting as much focus as they should. Gary, tell me a little bit more about the business case for investors to attend CES. There's obviously plenty of events on the calendar that they could go to, but why do you contend that CES is different?
It is certainly the most efficient way to see a tremendous amount of opportunity and see trends and meet the people and figure out whether you could have the relationships of trust where you're actually giving up your money to invest in them. We've definitely invested our own focus on investors because we realize in surveying a lot of our exhibitors, especially the smaller ones at Eureka Park, this is what they want. They want investment and they will have exposure. We have thousands of investors already, and we expect thousands more because it is something where the large portion of people who come are senior level decision makers. And it's not only the investors themselves, but if you think about it, a lot of the major companies have their corporate venture arms. Some of the biggest exhibitors send their entire teams over to Eureka Park to see what's there so they could invest. And investing is not necessarily money. Investing could be a partnership. It could be making the first order for a small company. It could be mentoring. And that's what goes on all the time. A lot of exhibitors, believe it or not, are there to see other exhibitors as well, because the cross-licensing, the patenting, the investing is what makes their participation and showing up with that time and the money and the travel and the exhibits, it makes it worthwhile for them.
John, Gary mentioned Eureka Park, and I want to talk to you a little bit more about that. So I believe this is the largest startup event, actually, Eureka Park, which is kind of crazy because it's within an even larger event. But Eureka Park itself is huge, right? Tell us more about that.
Yeah, Gary mentioned the international nature of CES earlier, and I think there's nowhere where that's better reflected than walking the halls of Eureka Park, which is one of the largest startup events in the world. It's the home for startups at CES with over 1,200 startups from 40 countries. And so, again, it's just the international nature down there. You walk down the aisles and you see pavilions from Belgium and France and Italy, the Netherlands, Japan, Switzerland, Ukraine, Korea. Stop me because I'm sure there's dozens more that I can say, but it's just the excitement is just palatable down there. It's an incredible experience. You'll find stages, pitch competitions, unexpected product launches down there. Shark Tank walks the floor every year. Gary mentioned the investors. We talked extensively about that, how they spend their time down in Eureka Park. From the moment the show opens on January 6th, the moment the show closes on January 9th this year, there will be a lot of activity in that part of the show because it's just infectious walking the halls down there, just how much excitement and enthusiasm there is from the founders and entrepreneurs, the investors, and others that spend their time in Eureka Park at CES.
And speaking of international enthusiasm, the CTA team has been on the road this year. Kinsey, just looking at your LinkedIn feed alone, I feel like I've gotten a bit of a world tour. I think you've had events in San Francisco all the way to Amsterdam and Seoul, Korea. So tell us more about what you're hearing from the international tech community. What's the vibe out there?
The vibe is positive. We've had a really busy but fun time traveling the world. Gary was on trips with me. John was on trips with me. We all did separate trips. And there's a lot of excitement for CES. In every country we visited, the resounding theme was excitement for technology, excitement for innovation, a focus on AI, and a real energy and forward looking to coming to CES. A lot of the conversation centered around AI and just acknowledging and noting that we are at the beginning of this AI revolution, and a lot of countries thinking about how their companies and their innovators will impact AI and how they will show up with AI solutions. Of course, digital health is also a theme, manufacturing is a theme. Accessibility and age tech was a theme that we heard from companies in various countries. And we all know that they are looking forward to coming to CES because it is a global convener. It is a global platform to come together, whether you're looking to do business in a new market or whether you're looking to make connections across the world. CES offers that to you. We're looking forward to a great show. I love how global CES is, and getting to travel around the world and talk with customers and partners in these different markets is an absolute joy and something we look forward to doing every year.
And let's be honest, this is a time of international change, of international uncertainty. But what you're saying is the international community is going to show up at CES 2026.
I am saying that, and they're excited about it.
So, John, you mentioned earlier that there's going to be a gathering for first timers at CES. There could be some first timers listening to this episode right now to get them prepped. Where do they even start?
Well, that's a great question. We get that question a lot. First, I would recommend to download the CES app from your preferred app store. Here you can plan your schedule. We've built in some new features like an AI chatbot. There's networking tools built into the app. And even there's some translation tools that you can use on site during the keynotes. So if English is not your first language, you can hear the keynotes in your native language. And speaking of keynotes, I would recommend attending our keynotes that Kinsey mentioned. It's a dynamic lineup of speakers. And here you can hear the big trends. And so this will kind of help set the stage and frame CES for you. A few other areas I would check out: Eureka Park, as I mentioned earlier, to see the startups at CES. Kinsey mentioned the Innovation Showcase as well, which is also located at the Venetian. Spend a few minutes walking through that showcase to get a better understanding of really some of the technology that is driving, powering products of the future. There's always some really cool products there as well. Some other tidbits of advice is, for me, earlier I talked about just how vast the show is, spread across multiple venues. So plan by geography. So if you're going to spend, plan to spend one day in the Venetian, plan a day to spend in Las Vegas Convention Center. Don't try to bounce back and forth because Las Vegas is a big city and it can be difficult sometimes to get around the city of Las Vegas. However, we do make it easy. We do have a shuttle services provided for all of our attendees. There's a Las Vegas loop that you can connect through different hotels surrounding the convention center and the convention center property. There's a monorail that runs down the Las Vegas Convention Strip. All this information is available on our website, so plan that in advance as well. And lastly, recommendation I always give people, wear comfortable shoes. You're going to be covering a lot of ground, and you're going to be on your feet, so wear comfortable shoes.
Gary, one of the themes for CES this year is innovators show up. We've talked a bit about the different kinds of folks who are showing up to CES, but what does it mean to have that highlighted as a theme for CES? Why is that important to you right now?
Well, we have a relationship with the United Nations, and it focuses on fundamental human securities, where they have asked us to promote them at CES, and we do. It's the right of people all around the world to have access to healthcare, to food, to clean air and clean water, to community. And that takes innovation. Innovation is not bound by geography, it is actually all around the world. And we have tried to position CES, and that's, these great travels that John and Kinsey and I have gone on around the world is really focused about talking to people who are solving big problems in the world and coming up with novel solutions and trying to create businesses and focusing on standard of living and ending poverty and creating businesses which employ people. And when they convene, magic occurs. And at CES, we try our hardest to make sure that magic can happen because we're a catalyst to encourage the world to move forward with innovative solutions to problems. And that's why we have companies like John Deere and Caterpillar. That's why we see companies like Oshkosh, which makes big equipment and fire trucks and things like that, which solves problems. But we see all these companies that are relying on technology and artificial intelligence to do their jobs better. And just in healthcare alone, what we're doing is revolutionary. The New York Times recently had a story about self-driving vehicles and how they are basically a medical necessity at this point to save the country and the world. That's what kind of thing we talk about and feature at CES, and that requires many levels of innovation, but it also requires people to talk to each other, to convene, to gather, to have that five-sense experience where they can figure out whether they trust each other. It requires companies to show what they are to the world. They use their exhibits in a way, this is putting their best foot forward to the thousands of investors and 6,000 media and everyone else. And it is a magical event, and the fact that we're entrusted with running it is super important to me and frankly our staff. And I think it's important for the world. And look, we're not the only event. There's a lot of great events out there, but we try to be the best in the world. And I think we're certainly the funnest, most exciting, and coolest for innovation.
I mean, yeah, we're talking about on this conversation, a massive event, something you got to wear comfortable shoes for and take breaks. But you do get so much energy from being at the show, not just because it's cool technology, but because it has that broader meaning and you're glimpsing a future that's really exciting. So this is all about, this whole conversation today is really trying to get people excited for all the different ice cream flavors, proverbially, that they could be experiencing at CES. And so I want to close this out with two round robin questions, just to have one more opportunity or two more opportunities just to talk about some of the exciting things that can get people jazzed for CES. The first one is at CES 2026, what is your one absolute must see thing? And we'll start with you, Gary.
I think it's the keynotes, frankly. I think that's really important and other conferences because there's so much there. I mean, certainly it'll be after the show. I'll be watching some of the ones I missed, conference sessions and things like that. But that's super important. And of course, that includes the CES Foundry.
Kinsey, how about you?
I'm actually gonna change and say two. You have to go to Eureka Park. It's amazing. It's where all the startups are. Look at entrepreneurs and innovators showcasing amazing solutions. But I think counter that by going through Central Hall and visiting the big bellwether exhibitors there who constantly blow my mind year after year that they're able to put together these gorgeous displays and showcase how they are using innovation to solve the world's biggest problems. So go see LG, go see Panasonic, Bosch is in there, go visit Samsung and their space. It's just a really great opportunity to see those companies too.
And John?
Yeah, there's so much to see at CES. For me, to narrow it down to one specific thing is kind of difficult. Gary mentioned the keynotes. The Lenovo keynote at Sphere is going to be amazing. They've got a great lineup of partners that they're bringing on stage. They'll be making some announcements soon regarding some other special guests that will be attending the event. So really excited about that. And then, this year we have over 400 conference sessions at CES, and there's something for everybody. We've talked about the many flavors of ice cream. It's truly reflective of CES. There's something for everybody when it comes from our conference programming, and much of that is included as part of your CES registration. And so these conversations are happening on the show floor, on the many stages across the show floor. are happening in the conference rooms as well. So check out the conference schedule on our website, and I guarantee you there'll be something for you.
It is a rush, right? Like literally and figuratively, because people might feel like they're rushing around trying to see everything. But for this last question, I want you all to take a deep breath, slow down for a moment, and imagine that you're at CES 2026, but you're magically relieved of all of your professional responsibilities and you're just able to
Oh,
slowly walk
we could just
around
be
the
an
show
attendee.
floor. Yeah, just an attendee. You can linger wherever you want and you can just take a deep breath and experience it. Where would you linger at the show? And John, we'll start with you.
Yeah, wandering the show floor is, every now and then I do get a few minutes to just walk the show floor. If I'm walking from point A to point B, sometimes I'll walk across the floor just to experience it. And there's so much to discover that you can find the unexpected on the show floor. So it's really amazing in that sense. If there's one specific area, it would be creator space in Central Hall on the show floor. Here you'll find the tools and production tech and new platforms that are changing how content is being made. The media landscape is changing, as we all know. And that conversation is taking place in creator space at CES.
I think we now know that John secretly wants to be like a YouTuber.
That's right. Yeah. And follow my YouTube at, no, I'm just kidding.
Subscribe to his
Yeah,
channel.
exactly. You can subscribe to the channel. Hit the subscribe link. Yeah, there
John,
go.
you have what it takes. If you can say like and subscribe, you're halfway there.
That's right.
Kinsey, where would you linger if you had the opportunity?
A couple places. Definitely in the digital health space. I sound like a broken record, but I just love it. That's a great part of the show, and I would love to get to play with all the products there. I would go by beauty tech and fashion tech and hang out there too and check out those companies. And I would also stop by North Hall because I am excited about robotics and getting to see the robots and the demos there. Those are the places I would hang. Maybe food tech too, since we're like talking about all my favorite things here.
And all those things are related, right? And that's what's one
Yeah,
thing that's cool about CES is that you can see kind of overlaps or different ideas can kind of collide together in these spaces. So beauty, fashion, health, nutrition, those things can all be kind of related under a holistic human umbrella, I suppose. And it's really cool to
absolutely.
have them all there.
Yeah.
Um, Gary, we'll close with you. If you were magically relieved of your responsibilities, where would you just like to hang out and vibe?
Certainly, I've considered the possibility of being relieved of my official duties either by presidential decree or by self-declaration. However, when it comes right down to it, I think I do have like a secret kind of desire that I go around the show with someone who's never been it before. I'm literally waiting for my son to turn 18 so I could show him what I do and so he could come to CES and walk the floor. And I think one of the cool things is we don't talk about a lot, but they're so variable is a lot of what goes on outside the exhibit floor, there's a lot going on in the perimeter right there of car test beds and all sorts of showcases and mobility test tracks. And that's really, really cool seeing transportation in motion. But I'd also spend a lot of time at the innovations area. And I'm sorry, I know I don't want to be redundant about Eureka Park, but Eureka Park is the buzz area of the show. And you see the excitement of the entrepreneurs and they're so passionate about what they're doing, but they're also very 4 days of listening and getting new ideas. They walk away with something that they didn't expect to get there with, and it's always a different business plan than what they started with.
And then after we all, lingered and went to our spots, we'd go sit in a massage chair.
Right. Or sleep.
There we go. The true dream of what happens right after CES 2026. John, and just on logistics, can you just give us the website where people can register? And can you tell us if they were there last year, there was a lot of construction going on. Sounds like the convention center is now fully renovated. Is that true?
Yes, the convention center is fully renovated. And if you have not already registered, please do at ces.tech. And just a reminder that CES is a B2B event. So you must be a member of the technology industry or somehow affiliated with the technology industry.
Gary, Kinsey, and John, the tech triumvirate triumphs again. Thank you for joining us and giving us this incredible preview of CES 2026.
Well, thank you, James.
Thank you.
Thanks, James.
Well, that's our show for now, but make sure you stay tuned for more insights, conversations, and content during CES 2026 and beyond. There's always more tech to talk about, so be sure to follow, subscribe, like, comment, and whatever else you need to do to keep those algorithms happy. You can get even more CES and prepare for Vegas at ces.tech. That's ces.tech. Our show is produced by Nicole Vidovich with Paige Morris and Doug Weinbaum, recorded by Adam Watherspoon, and edited by Third Spoon. I'm James Kotecki, talking tech on CES Tech Talk.